This video is brought to you by Skillshare, an online learning platform full of creators ready to teach you what you want to know. Hi everyone, this is Trena at John's Furniture Repair, and we're here in the shop with another project today. And it's this really beautiful little mahogany desk, and the chair doesn't go with the desk, but they use it with the desk, so we're going to be matching the finishes. It's just going to be a little basic take down the finish, refinish, repair, a couple things. This is a drawer slide that fell out, and get everything to match up and look a little better. So let me show you some details. So if you take a look a little closer, you can see that the finish is cracking and crazing, so it's just in need of a good refinish. It's actually in really great shape in terms of surface damage, but it needs a new finish because this one's deteriorated. And other than that, the drawers are needing a little bit of attention. They're basically okay, but there's just a couple of the pieces that they run along on the inside that are broken off after a rough move. And definitely cleaning up the inside of the drawers as well, because they're pretty dirty and I like to have those cleaned up. So this color on the inside of these drawers is kind of the color that we're going to be going to a little bit closer. It's actually the original color. This was refinished a while ago, and someone decided to go with the natural look. So we're going to kind of bring it back to the original and a little bit more classic color. So these desks are a little bit more work just because they have the cubby hole that's refinished, and also the back side is finished as well. So it's a little bit more surface area to do, but they're really, really nice, small apartment sized desks, and they have a lot of storage. The chair is going to need a re-glue. All the joints are kind of loose, so you can see quite a bit of wobble here. We're going to keep the fabric on the chair, so we'll just put that way in storage and get this to match up to this guy. And the grain is pretty close, so it won't be too hard. But yeah, so let's get at it. Okay, so I found where these little pieces of wood go that we had with the piece. So this one here just came off from the inside of this panel. So it goes in there like that. And it broke off because the runner came off on the bottom here. So this is also where this runner goes into. So we'll just need to re-glue everything here and get it fastened back on the cabinet. Now we are changing the hardware, so this shadow is going to be a little bit of a problem. The old handles are quite nice, and they're solid brass, but they just wanted a little bit less of a curly escutcheon, so we're going with these guys. So just a couple of plates and a hanging pull. So it'll look nice, but we just need to make sure that we do a little bit of extra work and get these shadows to disappear completely, or else we'll have a funny area here. So right now we're just going to get on to stripping, and I think I'm going to start with the drawers because we've got the repair done here on the case. So just got that glued and nailed in, and that little piece clamped there, and so that can dry while we're stripping the drawers. Okay, so I've got all the drawer fronts stripped for the desk, and now I'm just learning how to deal with these big shadows from the old hardware. So I thought about bleach, tried a little area, didn't do much, and I thought, you know what, most of this is due to sun bleaching. So believe it or not, This is more on par with the natural color of this wood, of the mahogany, and this is what the sun has bleached out. So this desk was probably sitting with a lot of exposure somewhere. So what we actually need to do to make this disappear is remove the top layer of sun-bleached patina on this wood. So basically just sanding a lot to try to blend this in. It won't go away completely, but I'll show you before and after. If we just went ahead and stained and finished this piece, we would still have this very apparent shadow. But if we bring the wood back down to its patina, so you could still see it faintly there, but I think with stain and color work we'll really be able to make it disappear. But that's the trick to getting those out. You have to remove that sun-bleached patina to be able to blend in that shadow again. So I'm just gonna sand the rest of these drawers like that, and then we'll be able to strip the desk. Actually, I might finish up these drawers and clean them up inside because we do need to wash them. Okay, so I'm just cleaning up the inside of these drawers. I'm going to use some crud cutter and just get rid of some of this sticky mess in here. I'm just going to use a little Scotch pad and scrub it. I may as well go ahead and figure out the colors. I'm just going to hand sand this with 180. And I've tried a couple colors and I've settled on Old Masters Special Walnut. So it's a little bit more of a golden red than a deep red. I think it's a nice color. There, and I'll just leave the majority of that stain on there. So that's the color we're going to go for on the whole thing. I think it's really pretty. A little bit lighter than the original, I think, but still really nice. So I'm just going to go through all the drawers and wash the insides, give them a little sand and stain. Okay, so I'm just working on stiffening up these cross braces, or the shelves for the drawers, whatever they are. Anyways, and you remember how they kind of wiggled back and forth, and all of them did. I can't really take this apart, and I don't want to get into regluing the entire cabinet. So what I'm able to do is just split this section apart enough to get that dowel exposed there. And then I can get my hide glue in and just repaint that dowel and then just kind of force it back into the home. And I'm gonna do that a couple times so I can actually get glue into the dowel hole. I can't split this apart enough to really see the hole, but I did get it farther apart on the other side, so I was able to actually get the dowel out of the hole and put glue directly into the dowel hole. But here I'm just trying to use a little bit of the corkscrew of the dowel itself to get it into the hole. So I've done that on all the other ones. So this one's pretty tight, so I don't want to push it any farther and break something, but I want to stiffen those up. So I've got glue in all those holes now, and I'll just put clamps along the whole thing here. So it's okay if there's a little bit of glue residue left, because the stain color is already on there. So yeah, let that dry, and then we can ship it off to the booth. I'm probably gonna let it dry for 2 days because this gel stain takes a little bit longer to dry. You can kind of see it's still wet in the grooves. It leaves quite a lot of material in there, but it's looking really good. Color's really beautiful on the whole thing. And we've got all the drawers ready to go back in. So yeah, we're almost there. So in the meantime, we can get started on the chair. Okay, so I've got the chair on the workbench here, and we're gonna be keeping the seats. So I'm just gonna remove that guy first. So this is a staple job done with a non-air staple gun, and it's just really spaced out and loose, and the staples are, you know, they've got lots of spaces in between them that you need to pull that fabric taut in between, and also the dacron's coming around the edge, so it's kind of a lot of material here where it screws in to the seat, so there was barely attached. So I might just tighten this up and give it a little bit of a makeover without, you know, removing the material. So I'll just put this over. So it looks like the corner blocks are all really loose as well. So I'll grab my drill and get those guys out of there. Oh, it looks like someone's labeled them for me already. So kind of a half effort at regluing the chair, maybe. It didn't last. Okay, so now that we've got everything unscrewed, I'm just gonna put a mat on the table. And grab my mallet. Hello. Oh, I've never seen that before. Like the inside core broke off. It's supposed to be in there. The veneers are intact. The inside just broke off. You know, if that's tight, I'm just gonna glue it back on there like that because that's really annoying. Anyways. There we go. So we'll just get it all stripped now and sand it up. Okay, so I got the clamps off and everything is super nice and sturdy. So, except for that one. All right, so this guy's all ready for the booth. Now, I really like what I found here because you got a whole bunch of drawers and you wonder which order did they go in. This company has really clear markings. 2XXX, this one says. My camera will be worth its weight. There we go. And inside the cabinet, just on the side rail, you can read, there's we got 2X, 2X, 2XX, 2XXX. So I know this guy goes in here, and that's where it should function. Not that it does. I mean, we did do some regluing, so it's a lot tighter, but that's where it's supposed to go, and all the other ones will have the same thing, except for these guys, because they're kind of self-explanatory. But yeah, everything's just a little tighter now that we've got those joints nice and tight. So we might have to do a little bit of adjusting. Awesome. So it looks really nice. I like the color. I might deepen it a little bit in the booth. Before I bring it over there, I'll figure out what's causing the issues here on these tight bottom drawers, but I think other than that, it's ready to go. So we can get continuing work on the chair. And I've got it here on the workbench. I've sanded it up to 180. Actually, no. I sanded it up to 120 because this is a little bit more of a closed grain mahogany, except for this piece. Is really open grain mahogany, as well as this piece. So I'm going to use a wood conditioner on these guys when I'm staining them, but I'm not going to stain it before I glue it together. So we're just going to get glue rolling here and get this guy in clamps, and then I can figure out what's going on with those drawers. All right, so I got this thing all on clamps, glued up with some hide glue. And this piece here that we had pulled apart and the core came out of the veneered part, I just glued that back on and I have it clamped here, so that'll be all good. This piece was broken, so we had some glue squeeze out here, so just getting that back together as well. But everything else looks good, and we'll just need to do a little bit of cleanup afterwards, and I'll just stick to 120 so I can get some color on this guy, because we'll be using the same gel stain as the desk. So this stain right here, if you're wondering, the Special Walnut Old Masters stain. And this stuff doesn't really penetrate into the wood as deeply as some of my Goudy stains. So one of the tricks finishers use to get more color from their stain is to leave your wood a little hairier. And by that, I mean, do not sand past like 120. Just make sure your sanding patterns are really straight. And then you'll have a surface that has a lot of wood fibers sticking up that will grab the color, and the general look will be darker. So that's what I'm kind of going for. A lot of closed grain on this chair, so I want it to open up and take some color for me, just so I have less work on the tinting part. Now these two pieces up here are very soft mahogany, and so I'm gonna actually be sanding these to probably 220, because I want them to be on the same level as this. And so I have to close this grain up a little bit more because it's a much softer wood and will soak up color a lot more than the other stuff. So I'm just gonna do some special treatment there, and I'll show you how that works out. But yeah, this can sit here overnight and take it to the clamps tomorrow. And then both of these guys are off to the booth. I figured out the drawers. One of the drawer slides had shifted over when we were spreading apart stuff, so I just got that glued and put back in place with a nail. And a couple of chunks of hide glue that were in there from the glue up. So those are all working good now, nothing too serious. And yeah, so we will get back at it tomorrow. Okay, so now that we've got everything buttoned up and it's just drying, I can just work on this seat. So I'm gonna take this fabric all the way off because it needs a lot of trimming. Just gonna pull that out. Okay, so the original seat has a nice cotton bed, and I guess they just wanted a little bit more fluff, so we can reuse that. I'm not going to try to redo everything they did. I'm just going to clean it up. So if we're using Dacron, you really do want to make sure it's trimmed off after you pull it around. So I'm just going to stretch it a little tighter and just keep it really close to the edge. Alright, let's be real. Working in a shop all day and grinding away and sanding and doing all that physical work does wear on your body. So it's really important to have a little routine, and sometimes it's hard to figure out what you're going to do to keep yourself in good shape and relaxed and your muscles free to do your work. And so I've found something really cool, and it was on Skillshare, and it's a 15-minute yoga class per day taught by none other than Ellie Carver. She's an amazing yoga instructor. She's worldwide, does football players, professionals, and she's got a class on Skillshare, 15-minute a day yoga for flexibility, which is what I need for sure. So I've just been looking at her classes, listening to her platform, and doing some of her moves, and I already feel a lot more flexible in the morning when I get into the shop. And it just helps me to be able to do the stuff I do all day without pain. And if you're not up for yoga, there's a ton of other stuff on Skillshare that you can check out. Graphic design has a ton of stuff, really amazing people who are teaching it and have a ton of different things to show you what to do. But there's, film and video, creative writing, drawing, painting. I've looked at a bunch of these classes, and it's a really great platform. And for my viewers, there's a link below in the description. For the first 1,000 people who click on the link, they get a month free of Skillshare. So check it out if you want to learn something new and grow your skills, or learn how to become more flexible, and do it for free for a little while. So I also noticed as I'm working that the holes are pretty worn where you attach the seat to the corner box. So I'm just going to pop a couple of there, so those can all dry. Kind of broke off a little too many of them. That's okay, I'll just keep them in a cup. Yeah, it looks like they've trimmed one side here. It's not quite square. So I'll just put the wider area to the front, even though I have lots of fabric here. So I want to get my lines of this grain straight with the chair. That looks good. Just going to bring my hand around and pin it. Same thing on this side. There, now let's take a look, seeing how the grain's running. Looks good. So now we can just start to pull everything to the same tension. You don't need a lot of tension, you just need even tension. And you'll notice as I'm going, each staple pulls everything evenly. That's why you can't really leave big gaps between your staples. Some fabrics are a little bit more forgiving in that, but when you've got a weave like this, you need to pull each fiber the same way. So now we'll work these front corners first. A lot of people don't mind folds. I don't like them very much. It's just a personal preference, I guess, because you can make nice folds on the front. I just prefer nothing. So I usually tighten everything up right to the corner and then try to pull it enough so the folds are just on the bottom and not visible on the top. But you really got to pull in your edges pretty good to do that. And then I'll just give it a good, with my little piece here, I'll just give it a really good pull that way. And try to flatten that material out. And that's it. So it's just a nice clean edge. All the folds are underneath. So I'll do that on all the corners and then we'll trim this fabric off. Okay, so I've got it all the corners finished. So I'll just trim off all this excess here. Good, so now I would usually put a dust cover on. So I'll just fold this under. And hide all of the staples to leave that nice clean edge there. And just give it a few tacks. Tucking in any little frays of fabric. And then I usually just do 2 to make sure it doesn't sag at any point. So there it is. All cleaned up. It'll look a lot nicer on the chair now, not so frumpy. The chair was wearing pajamas and now it's got its suit on. Okay, so I've got all the glue cleaned up here and I've resanded everything with 120, which is important after you clean stuff up with water because the water on the wood will make it stain up a little bit blotchy, so you just have to prep sand that again. And I've just got some 320 here, and I'm going to sand these really soft mahogany parts. And what you're doing when you're sanding at a higher grit is closing off that grain and smoothing off those fibers. So you're not going to have as much surface area for the stain to fit on. So naturally it will look lighter. So it's always something to consider when you're working with a piece of furniture that's made with a couple different types of wood. Sometimes your prep is different for the different wood. Like a lot of times cabinets will have a poplar or a birch frame and then a veneered walnut or mahogany, and the poplar will stain up lighter, obviously because it's more of a white wood. So you could sand those different, or you just work with your color, which is usually what I do with those situations. Just add a little bit of tint. But you could also work with your sanding prep to help out your color a little bit and your stain to soak in differently where it needs to. Okay, so now we are all ready for stain. And I'll just use the same Old Masters American walnut or special walnut that we used on the desk. We'll just start from the back. See how these guys stain up. Yeah, that's really nice. I'm hoping that the rest of the chair gets somewhere close to that. Yeah, so that'll be a really nice color for the whole thing. So I'll just stain up the rest of the chair. Okay, so I've got the first coat of lacquer on everything, and although this is a really beautiful color, it is not quite the sample that they gave me, so I'm going to be doing some tinting, and I have some test areas here. So this is a really nice kind of blonde mahogany going on. It's a little blotchy in spots, so I'm kind of glad we're tinting. Not too bad, but this color down here is what we're going to be going for. A little bit more of a reddish, orangey, still very warm color. So it's actually 3 colors to get to this point. Maybe I'm making it more complicated than I need to, but this is exactly the process I have. So we've got brown cherry first to give it a little bit more of a deeper red, not a deeper red, but a deeper color of the color that's on it right now, actually. And then to give it a little bit more hint of a red, we're gonna pop some red mahogany cherry on there. And then to bring it a little bit back into the cherry zone, and a little bit more into the brown zone, we're just gonna hit it lightly with the raw umber. Okay, so there it is, all tinted up. Big difference, but I love it. I think it looks awesome. Gives a little bit more character. So we've got 2 coats of lacquer sealing in the color. I will have to do the inside of the drawers, make sure all the edges look good too. And probably buff down everything and do 1 final coat. But this can sit over the weekend and do its thing. But yeah, really nice kind of golden brown, reddish golden brown. Coming along very nicely. I think it'll look good with the upholstery too that goes on this chair that we've got all ready to go. Okay, so these have had some time to cure over the weekend or dry, and so I'm just going to hit it with a 400 grit paper and give it the final coat. But I am super pumped about this color. I think it makes this piece look way more sophisticated. So it doesn't need a lot. I just want to take down any little dust nibs. The top I always sand more than everything else. Of course, being super careful of the edge, and we don't want to go through any of our color work. And then we need to seal all the interior of the drawers. If you remember, we gave those a good clean. So they just need a nice coat of lacquer over them to smooth them all out. And we are going to be taking the drawers out, so I'll just stack them up here. So I'm going to stack them with some spray. And I like to tint everything together, but inevitably I do need to, touch up a little bit of an edge and make, a little bit darker on that. So this one is not too bad, but some of them will need a little bit of touch-ups on the edges, which is fine. I just like to do it all together so I have an idea of how it looks on the dresser, because tinting things in this plane when you're looking down is a lot different when it's down there below eye level, sitting like this. The colors shift a lot. So it's kind of important to have everything where it's going to be able to get your colors accurate. So after I've got that all done and the colors sealed in, then I'll usually take the drawers out and give them final coats and do any edge touch-ups that I have to do. That's what seems to be working for me lately anyways. All right, so there it is. Looking all pretty with jewelry on. You can see the shading that I did on the drawers a little bit around the edges, just to give it a little bit of depth and color. Finish is looking really great. This is a Lenmar pre-catalyzed satin lacquer. And a little chair that goes with it. It's got his little seat on, all tightened up. And the color's looking nice with the desk. Yeah, so thanks for joining me on this one, guys. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos. And if you would like to buy me a coffee for supporting these videos and all the hard work it takes to make them, go ahead and tap the link in the description below, and I would be very appreciative of that. But thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and stay tuned for the next one. Cheers. You guys, I have the best viewers ever. Someone just sent me out of the blue a DeWalt heat gun. I love DeWalt tools. They paid attention to the fact that I already had 20-volt batteries, and I'm just like, who was this? Thank you so much. I'm so very grateful. You guys are so awesome. I'm just always feeling like overjoyed. So thank you, thank you, thank you.